What's up, and welcome to the Sisterhood Corner. To the newbies, welcome. To those who've been here before, welcome back. Another week, another set of letters. The first one reads, My love life is a nightmare. Hi, Sisterhood Corner. Thank you for the platform. Mine is a story that reads like a badly written movie script, but I will try and avoid getting too down in the dumps about it. I'm a 55-year-old woman, as I have just turned 55, and I have three children. Each of my kids has their own father. So basically, what I mean is, I have three baby daddies, three kids, three different men. Perhaps let's get that out of the way. Though my kids are grown and have since become independent, I live in my grandmother's house. My grandmother and her sons have long since passed away, and my cousins agreed that I should stay in the home as they are already established and have their own homes. See, unlike me, my cousins focused more on education, and that has paid off very well for them. In fact, it's all thanks to them. It's all thanks to them that my kids turned out decent. I really didn't do much. I was a horrible mother. And that's because I was busy chasing men. The same applies to when we were younger. Cousins were focusing on books, and I was reveling um, in the attention I was getting from boys for my looks. Now, I don't mean to brag or sound shallow, but I am a beautiful woman. I have always turned heads and even do so to this day. Now, a lot of people would think looks are a blessing. They can, however, be a curse. In my case, my looks have been a curse. Unfortunately, none of the men I've ever been with were with me for love. All I was to them was a trophy, something to show off and boost their egos. In my late teens, I fell in love with the father of my first child. It was young love, and for about 3 years, it was great. We got married in the fourth year and got pregnant the following year. Things changed drastically after our child was born. He started cheating with multiple girls and round about then started abusing me physically. I stuck it out, but by the 10th year, I'd had enough. I left the marriage and spent the next year lamenting how I had wasted my 20s. Anyway, I had to move on. Besides, it doesn't matter what happens. Life has to go on. Early 30s, in came my second baby daddy. Well-established, educated professional, charming, and accomplished in every area. Ours was a whirlwind romance. Within 3 months, he had paid lobola and moved my first child and I into a beautiful home in the Joburg northern suburbs. I couldn't believe my luck. Just like my first husband, just like my first husband, he turned out to be no different. Extremely controlling and abusive, I literally had to run away in the middle of the night with my two children just to escape the marriage. And all this happened within a space of 2 years. Luckily, this was not a court marriage. We didn't sign anything, so I left with my clothes and kids and have never seen him ever again. After taking some time to heal and trying this mothering thing, my cousin offered to take the kids so she can give them structure and stability. I gladly agreed as I was failing at it dismally. Also, I was happy to be free. Round about then, in came the third baby daddy. Just like it happened with the second baby daddy, things moved very fast. I got pregnant and we moved in together. Now, this one was slightly different because it felt, I think I was finally living my fairy tale. What's sad though is that the fairy tale was built on lies and deceit. We were together for 10 years and I enjoyed being with him. And I thought he was the one. That is until cops came to arrest him one morning on our doorstep. Turned out he was a hitman. I was crushed. Everything he owned was confiscated, and I left with my clothes and my son. That's when I moved into my grandmother's house. I was in my early 40s when this happened. Fast forward to today, I feel like the unluckiest woman in love. Sure, you didn't exaggerate when you said this sounds like a movie script. I don't know about the badly written part, but it does sound like a movie script. Um, First of all, thanks for writing in. And also, thank you for not playing victim. But and I say this because when I read the letter and you were talking about how your cousins were chasing education and you were busy reveling in your looks. I think it takes a certain type of woman to admit something like that. I think that you've had enough time to introspect and spend time with yourself, and you have forgiven yourself for whatever mistakes you made. Um, and I think that is admirable. That's something that a lot of people should learn how to do. I don't think a lot of us have gotten to that level of wisdom about self. So kudos to you for that. If you were another cousin, um, you would have turned to jealousy towards your cousins, or especially when they asked to give your kids structure and stability, you could have taken that personally, but you didn't. So that says a lot about you. I don't think you're a mean-spirited person, and I think you should stay like that. You just haven't been lucky in finding a man who's truthful to you. And you picking wrong doesn't necessarily mean that your love life is a nightmare or you're the unluckiest woman in love, as you label yourself. I think that what has happened in your life can happen to any woman. I think that all of us as women at some point, once or twice, you've picked wrong. It happens. Although I understand in your case, I think the reason why you call yourself the unluckiest woman in love is the fact that the very last guy, because you don't say anything about him being abusive, so I take it you had finally found your fairy tale. But what you didn't know is you had found one with a murderer, right? Because he didn't even show that side to you. So I think that's where the shock comes in. Hence, you call yourself the unluckiest woman in love. Now, you don't tell me what you've been doing since your 40s until now, because like you said, the last relationship, when this man obviously went to prison or whatever happened after you found out he was a hitman. You don't say whether you've been single since your 40s until now, because if that's the case, then that will explain why you have so much self-awareness about things. I think you've had more than enough time to reflect on self and everything else. So all I could say to you is, take the label off. I'm the unluckiest woman in love. My love life is a nightmare. No, take that all off. It's the past, right? But with the new you, with the current you, more self-aware you, I'm pretty sure now going forward, because the older we get and the wiser we get, we pick different. Just be confident in the fact that now you know better. You definitely will do better, right? You don't say whether you're working at the moment or what you do for a living. But more than anything, don't go out there looking, right? Now you are mindful that you turn heads, but just be mindful, just be careful of which heads you turn. So by that I mean, you will turn every head that needs to be turned, but you know the quality that you're looking for now in a man. You've had more than enough experiences to know what each brought that was positive and negative, and what you want to take out from there, and going forward, what do you want to look for. right? You've had enough bad experiences to know what you do not want. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. So there's really no need for you to even fear stepping out there if you do meet someone, you know? Um, but I do also hope that with your kids, you've had time to explain to them so that they understand the person behind the mom. All right, because kids have a way of looking at a parent as a perfect being. So I hope you've had, now that they're mature, you've set them down and explained to them everything, so that at the end of the day they understand the kind of person you are and the decisions you made and from which where you were coming from in terms of that decision making. But other than that, really, I think you're a self-aware woman. I think you're great. I think you're in a good space. And I think that don't close yourself off to love. Don't give yourself labels like unluckiest woman in love. No, there's no such a thing. Open yourself up to love if that's what you still want. But more than anything, make sure this time around you go in with your own. By your own, I mean your own money, your own sense of self. You know what I mean? Things like that. And then you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. Good luck, Mama.